Now that we've created the pilots for all the drilled holes, we can come in with the drill of the correct diameter and drill all of the holes through. I'm going to come up to the Toolpaths tab. I'm going to use a drilling operation. Mastercam is prompting us to select one or more entities to add or remove from the features list. What I'll do is I'll come down and I'm going to use the mask on arc filter. Select this icon. Then follow the prompts that Mastercam gives us. Select an arc to match. I'll select one of the holes that we're drilling. Now it's asking us to draw a window to select entities. I'll create a selection window around the entire part. And you can see it has selected the 12 circles that represent the holes drilled in the part. From here, I'll select OK. We'll go to the tool. This brings up our tool list. We need to add a number 7 drill to our tool list. So I'll go to Select Library Tool. The selection filter is still active. So I'll go to Filter. This time I'm going to deselect the spot drill and select Drills. I want to look for a drill that's equal to 0.201 in diameter. If I wasn't sure what the diameter of the hole was, I could right-click on the screen or right-click in this field, select the diameter of an arc. That brings us back to Mastercam. Select one of the circles, left-click, and that diameter value now occupies this field. I'll select OK, and you can see that there is one tool that matches that tool diameter. I'll double-click on the number 7 drill. That adds the drill to our tool list, and I'll need to make some changes to this tool. Right-click on the tool, select Edit Tool. On the first page for the parameters of this tool, I'm going to leave the default settings. I'll go to the next page, select the next icon. I'm going to set the number of flutes to 1. I'll calculate the speeds and feeds with a calculator. And then I can also turn the coolant on here. So on this bar, show more options, left click on the coolant icon, and then set the flood coolant to on. Select OK. That completes the changes that I need to make to this page. I'll select Finish. Mastercam has calculated our speeds and feeds. I'll also provide a comment, and the comment will once again appear in our NC file. Drill all holes through. That completes this page. From here, I'm going to go to the cut parameters. Mastercam changes over to a peck drill cycle, and it sets a peck amount or a Q value equal to this particular drill tip length. And that's a default setting inside of Mastercam. I can use the feed distance. I'll set a P value of 0.015. And this will be the gap between the last peck and the next peck. So what happens is it's going to drill this hole in a pecking motion. It's going to drill in 0.06 increments. It's going to retract to 0.1. Then it's going to fast rapid back to where it left off, plus this gap. We don't want to run the tool into the material. So this is a buffer between the last peck and the next peck. From here, I'm going to go to linking parameters. Most of the values from the previous toolpath are still active. I've got my clearance plane set to 2 inches absolute. I'm using clearance only at the start and the end of the operation. I've got my retract set to 0.1 incremental. The top of stock is 0 absolute. And for the depth, I have it set to absolute. This time I'm going to select the depth icon. That'll allow us to get back into the graphics area of Mastercam. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select something that represents the bottom of the part. And lock on to this edge. This represents the bottom of the part. Left click. It then places that Z value relative to our origin in this field. Now, if I drill to a depth of Z minus 0.188, the drill will not go all the way through the part. What I'll do is I'll also activate tip count. So select tip count, check next to tip count to activate it. You can see from this graphic that Mastercam is calculating an additional amount to compensate for the drill tip length. And then we have an additional breakthrough amount to account for any imperfections in the drill. So breakthrough amount, let's set this to 0.03. The tip length is based off 118-degree drill tip. And here is the value that Mastercam has calculated for us. So once you activate tip count, you can use the default settings for all of these other options. I'm going to select OK. If I select the drilling operation, you'll see a green check next to it. So this is the only toolpath currently selected. I'll run it in backplot. And I can see that the stock model from the previous operation is still visible. So what I can do is I'll back out of this, select the stock model from the previous operation, toggle off the visibility. And now, with the PEC drilling operation selected, I'll run it in backplot. I'm going to show just the tool and the rapid moves. Come up to the backplot control, select play. And you can see it drilling the holes. Everything looks good. I'll exit backplot. I'll save my work. This time, I'm going to select the entire toolpath group. I've got checks next to both toolpaths, and I'll run it and verify. Make sure that you have collision detection turned on. Then select play. You can see the holes are being all the way drilled to the part, and I do not have any detection or any collisions. From here, I'll exit verify. I'll toggle off the visibility of the current toolpath. And I'll also create a stock model that shows all of the machining operations up to this point. To do that, to create the stock model, I'm going to go to Toolpaths, Stock Model. We'll call this drilled holes or something meaningful. For the initial stock shape, I'm going to use the stock model from the previous operation. So select stock model. And then from this drop-down menu, select the stock model that we created from the previous operation. Spot drilled holes. That completes this page. From here, I'll go to source operations. And here I'm going to select a toolpath that's actually doing the machining to the stock model. And in this case, I'll select the PEC drill cycle. I'll select OK. It'll take a moment for Mastercam to process it. And you can now see, this is not my solid model, this is the stock model that reflects all of the tool paths up to this point. I'll save my work one more time. The next thing we'll need to do is create the NC file.